Welcome to our Mind the Moment's Thursday morning gathering, brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. This is a place where we invite experienced mindfulness instructors to speak with us about what mindfulness means to them and to discuss as a community how we can incorporate these practices into our daily lives. I'm Suzanne Rowe Palacino. So happy to be here this morning with Tara Healey, founder and director of Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare's mindfulness program. Nice to see you here, Tara.
Good morning, Suzanne, and nice to see everybody. Good morning.
Yeah, good to have you here with us, and so wonderful to be here together this morning to practice together and just touch on a couple of different things that we can think about in regards to meditation. So we typically, if anyone's new to our guided practice this morning, Tara will start us off with a question, and then she'll share a few words with us, and then we'll go right into about a 12-minute guided practice. So if you go to the bottom of your Zoom screen and open up the chat, and you can just click the blue drop-down menu as hosts and panelists and change that to see all of your comments as you type them. So with that, let us kick it off.
Let me make sure I've got to change my, there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So Tara, what's the question this morning for the group?
Yeah. So when I woke up this morning, I actually had to get up on the early side because I had to bring my car in for service. And it's about a 45-minute drive away. And then I knew I'd have another 45 here. So I got up pretty early. But I was just feeling like, it was really chilly and the sky was kind of dark. And I just found myself really resisting and wanting something different, like just wanting a warmer, sunnier day or warmer, sunnier morning. And I started thinking about a Tibetan teacher that I love who he would always say, check the attitude in your mind throughout the day. Just check the attitude in your mind. And so I thought, because oftentimes, as I have said before, like thoughts slip in unnoticed, but then they're noticed. So the question is, what's the attitude in your mind this morning? What's the attitude in your mind this morning? And Suzanne, let's start with you. And I can say a little bit more also, but I think that, one of the things in this practice that I have always found incredibly useful is the idea of resistance and working with resistance and this capacity to see clearly how things actually are not how we wish they were or how we want them to be, but to actually see with clarity how things are. Because resistance to anything adds an extra layer to the thing we already don't want. And so it's not an easy concept to grasp, but I've always appreciated the question, what's the attitude in the mind? Because we don't wake up picking it, selecting it. Usually there's something, and then we have the capacity to actually work with it. But Suzanne, what's the attitude in your mind this morning?
Yeah, no, we had a chance to talk about this a little bit this morning, but I just have a feeling of unsettledness. I've had that kind of a week this week, and there's construction going on my street this morning. So it started super early, and I was definitely feeling resistance to that. Like, wait a minute, it's too early for this noise. So that was just adding, like you said, adding another layer. But yeah. That's my attitude right now.
And the other thing that I think is important is that it's not about being falsely cheery, at all. I mean, the practice really just asks you to see clearly and then step into that. So I think for me, just Last week I was away, and where I was absolutely stunning every day, literally 6 days of 80 degrees, no clouds, just beautiful warmth, unusual warmth for a late May into June. And I found myself like wanting that again this week. And so just seeing, really like tapping into when I see that more clearly, like what it feels, just like what that feels like, just welcoming it all, the um yeah,
All of it. Yeah, for sure.
yep.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of interesting. Sarah says unprintable and hoping this session will help my attitude adjustment. Yeah, there are just sometimes those days or weeks.
yes, yes,
Ivana says it's a great day for planting
yeah.
native plants. She's looking
Hmm.
up the plant. Yes, wanting something different. Tammy says, do you try
Yeah.
to change that or just be with it?
Yeah, it's a really like I love Tammy, what you said, didn't realize until you asked.
Hmm.
Like that is very often how we kind of move through the world, and what this practice enables is this just capacity, just periodically throughout the day, dropping that question in, what's the attitude? What is the attitude in the mind this morning? Um, and the question is, do we try to change it or be with it? And um, what I would suggest is the being with it, the allowance, the receptivity, the experience physically in the body, rather than trying to change. So I would say that's the first place to work with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with also, dropping in the idea of receptivity, because that alone often transforms it. But there's this interesting place of, where we can say, well, I'm doing it, but it's not working. Like I'm accepting it, I'm receiving it, but it's still here. So we can, just start to watch how we are navigating it. Um, yeah, I would say to be with, to welcome in, and start to see what happens. It is very possible though to incline the mind toward beauty and toward things that feel easy for you, relatable. Yeah, so it's not about not doing that, but I would, as a first step, just start with here it is. I didn't even notice. Receiving, what does that feel like? What's that like in the body?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and are things changeable or not? Some things are not. So it's just, um, uh,
Yeah, and some things are created by outside forces, and some things, are a little bit harder to dig into. So there are times when we realize, this could be the weather, and it might change tomorrow. So that,
yes,
that feeling of, okay, there's possibility. Also, there's possibility of
yes,
change.
yes.
Hmm. And a lot of people are,
Yeah,
planning some trips and feeling some anxiety around that. But also wanting it to be the weekend, which I get.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Just wanting it to be a different day than it is.
Mm.
Yeah. And just the seeing of that, and seeing how am I relating to this desire for things to be different. Like so much of the practice is really looking at how am I relating to this thing right now that I don't want. Or, the other interesting thing is how am I relating to this thing that I am loving and I don't want it to go away?
Mm.
An experience that you're having that you don't want it to end. And that there is a subtle holding or grasping in things that are going really well, not wanting situations to change. So on both ends of the spectrum, there can be a kind of grasping. And just this, all you need to do is see it clearly, just to see it clearly.
Mhm.
And, I give yourself grace, bring in just kindness and, self-compassion, offer yourself some meta phrases. I find that when I feel especially unsettled or anxious, and then I remember, oh yeah, I can say, in this moment I am safe, and may I be well, just something simple like in this moment I am safe and may I be well. And it's that those are kind of some of my defaults.
Mhm.
But yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and Sheila was mentioning she used to be able to manage stress until the pandemic, and feels like there's a lower threshold now.
yeah, yeah. I
Mhm.
think that, the past 3 years have worn on us, right?
Mm.
And yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And just to have some time, some space in between to just notice that and just see
yeah,
there are little things that we can do, very little things like you mentioned earlier, just just being outside even for 5 minutes, reading a
yeah,
book to just kind of get away from things for a minute, or some poetry,
yes,
or watching a funny video on
yeah,
YouTube,
yeah. Yeah, and I think Suzanne, to your point of stepping out, I remember when my niece was a baby, when she was an infant, and I remember one time so clearly where she was screaming. I mean, inconsolable kind of screaming as an infant.
Yeah.
And I was alone with her, and I was like, okay, what to do? And I walked outside. It was a summer morning, and birds were chirping, and it halted. It literally halted. And she just looked around. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it is quite magical to just shift from one place to the next. And
Mm.
there is something expansive about being outside where I think, it's like the mind can hold more. It's sort of like big sky mind, it just expands.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So it becomes like a drop in the ocean rather than a teaspoon of salt in a small cup of water. You
Mhm.
just have more capacity. So there are lots of little things. Yeah.
Yeah, and Loretta was mentioning, I wish I was younger and had no responsibilities. I remember during COVID, I went to a retreat, and this leader had mentioned, during those times of like difficulties, just going back to happier times in your life, even a photo album or something like that can, reignite the fact that you've had such joy in your life, and you can still,
Yeah.
although you may be in this difficult time,
Yeah.
and still ignite that joy by just looking at old pictures, or just,
Yeah. Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah, outside
Yeah.
exercise over gyms. Yeah.
Well, I think we can go ahead and move into practice,
Mm.
and this will be very lightly guided. So you're going to have lots of moments without me talking, lots of space in this one. But I'm just going to ground us, get us settled into the body, and then ask you to find an anchor. And that could be the sensations you feel when you breathe anywhere in the body. So it could be that you feel the rocking motion, could be some people feel the air entering and leaving the nostrils, could be the belly or someplace else. You could also take the palms of your hands and rest them on your thighs, and the actual feeling of that point of contact can be your anchor. Or if you have sound in your background, you could use that. So let's go ahead and settle into a posture, either sitting or standing or lying down. And take a couple deep breaths on your own, making the exhalation longer than the inhalation, just as a way to settle in, settle any surface tension from the morning's activity. And notice the body and maintaining a spine that is straight but not stiff, allow the body to soften around the upright spine. See if you can surrender your weight into the support of the ground beneath you, dropping the shoulders, resting the muscles of the face around the eyes and the jaw in particular. And bringing awareness to the soles of the feet. Just feeling a point of connection. If your feet are on the rung of a chair or on the floor, feeling a sense of stability, groundedness with the body and the surface. And with whole big body awareness, notice sensations, whatever sensations are occurring for you, pulsing, temperature, vibration of any kind. Take a moment to receive what the body is offering.
Mhm.
And let your awareness expand to go outside of the body and just for a moment include sound in your field of awareness and the soft mental note hearing. And allowing sound to remain as it will in the background, rising and passing. Begin to bring awareness back inward to the whole body. And begin to look for an anchor to select for the wandering mind, something that you can return to. So as you breathe in and out, where in the body is the breath most noticeable, the actual feeling, the sensation. You could, of course, use a different body sensation, palms resting on thighs or back of the body against the chair or soles of the feet if you're standing. And sound is fine as well. So I'm going to be silent for the next several minutes. And each time a thought has slipped in and then you notice it, you become aware of it. Soft mental note, thinking, soften the body, and escort your attention back to whatever you're using to help anchor and stabilize the wandering mind. And noticing where the mind is, releasing the memory or the planning, soften the body, and return to your anchor. As we bring this meditation to a close, may we be peaceful and at ease. May our heart be soft and open. May we be safe and protected, and our bodies healthy and strong. And may the merit of our practice be for the benefit of all beings. And counting back 3, 2, and 1. And as you are ready, if your eyes were closed, or even if they were closed but are open but gaze down, you can take a moment to just look around and reorient to the room that you're in.
Thank you so much, Tara.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Just what I think we all needed this morning.
Yeah, no, I think there's generally some unsettledness. It just feels that way almost energetically.
Mm,
Um, but I did notice somebody felt joy this morning. The attitude in their mind was joy.
mm,
Um, and we can all feel joyful for another person's joy.
mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like the Rumi poem, The Guest House, that we allow everyone to come just as they are, right?
Yes.
Any
Yes.
visitors, and
Yep. Yep.
work with them as we can.
It took a bit to get accustomed to the silence. Yeah. Thanks, John.
Mm.
Um,
Well, it's
it,
great to be with everyone together this morning.
yeah, so great to be with everybody. Yeah, the silence, the spaces, it's just like another thing to work with. Um, it's I think helpful to have longer stretches so you know you can feel what that's like, and knowing that we're all, I always think that there is such support in doing this as a group, and that these practices are simple, but they are not easy. So it's helpful to all be together, and so I really appreciate everybody, and um, very much value these mornings. And so yeah, I mean, we have built this community since the pandemic. We started right away, and just really great to be with everybody.
Mm. Yeah, it is very supportive, even just to get these thoughts out and in the chat makes it,
Yes.
it makes it
Yes.
somehow easier
Yeah.
to
And
work with.
take care of your body this morning with the air quality. Sheila's mentioning air quality. Yeah. My niece is in Brooklyn and sent a picture yesterday. Really intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good to be with everyone this morning, and wishing everyone a good weekend. And we'll be back on Tuesday. Christine O'Shaughnessy will be with us.
Oh,
So
great. Good.
looking
Thanks
forward
for
to that.
hosting, Suzanne, as always.
Happy to do it. Happy to do it. Happy to have you here too. Okay, everyone. So take it easy, and we will see you next week.
Yes.
Bye-bye.